My name is Sarah, I'm 29 and I grew up in Ohio. I didn't like the way that I looked. I think some of that came because I was a tomboy and everybody knew it. And so that was kind of me holding the girlish figure side of things. The school had contacted my parents because I would throw my lunch away and not eat it. My dad's also a pastor, so there's also those expectations as the pastor's kid, and you know, it's just a title, but as a pastor's kid, people look at you and expect so much more from you. And it's like, I'm just as normal as you. I started drinking. The eating disorder was still there, but I was focused more on the drinking, and I started withdrawal from my family and went pretty much into total depression. I hated it. I was in the youth group. I was actually a leader of the youth group. We were going to parties underage. We were going to parties, drinking. There would be people at our church that supplied us with drinks, but that was my life, was drinking and eating disorders. By the time college came around, I only went to get out of the house. At that time, I was majoring in business with an emphasis on marketing. I didn't know what my passion was. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't even know where I was going to go. I had $100 and I was just going to leave and take off. And all I had to do was finish 2 more weeks and I could have finished the semester. So living by myself those years, I started drinking by myself, which gets worse instead of out in crowds. So I would just drink myself to sleep every night, literally every night, and then get up and go to work. The whole thing with the cutting is I wanted the pain somewhere else instead of in my head. Oh, I got scars. I was admitted into the hospital. I actually spent a week in the hospital for it and suicidal thoughts at that time. After I spent a week in the hospital, I was sent to Wisconsin for 4.5 months for treatment for cutting, eating disorder, and alcohol. But at that time, also come the hardcore therapy of trying to get to the root of what really is. I wanted to do it my way and I didn't need any help. Not that my way was working, but I had lost a lot of interest in faith just through the past, and you know, a lot of it is a trust issue. When you can't even trust your father on earth, how do you trust your father in heaven? When they asked, you know, where would you be 5 years, even 5 years from that time, I just looked at her and told her probably nowhere. I'd probably be dead. Last summer was horrible. I'd started drinking heavily to the point that I didn't care, and drinking to the point that I didn't know what was even going on around me. I would go to bars alone, and then I would leave with guys. Guys that I've never met, guys that I don't even know. One incident in particular that kind of pushed me to, I'd say, probably the final point, was being in a hotel room with a guy, and another guy comes knocking on the door, and all of a sudden here I am with 2 guys, and I know they both have guns. So at that point, you know, 3 a.m, I finally came to my senses, laying there thinking, what am I doing? If I continued that lifestyle and walking down that path, I could be just your next girl found behind a dumpster. When you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go. At that point, it's either go forward or continue to go backwards. And I couldn't continue to go backwards anymore. I had to do the hardest thing that I had always been fearing, actually, was to get rid of the biggest control of my life, which was the eating disorder. For almost 20 years, I've tried to control my life and live my life on my own, making my own decisions, and it didn't work. Over and over again, I tried, and it still didn't work. At the point that I decided to give it all over to Christ, He took my hand and He took all the pains in my past, which gave me a complete freedom. My relationship with Christ has changed my whole point of view and my whole mindset of things. I actually got this revelation, and it's in Malachi, where it talks about we take something and we make it something that it's not, and that's what the eating disorder was. And I'm sitting there going, it was just in my head the whole time. what, 19 years, and it was in my head. So, you know, it's those things, we take things and we make them what they're not, and we take things and make them bigger than they are. I can say that if I made it and some other people that I know that have had a past, they've made it through, you know, it's your choice, and as long as you keep your head held high and keep your eyes on him, you'll be all right.